If you looked at my LinkedIn profile,
Yeah.
it's got this business that I've been running for 27 years.
Yeah.
And then the only other job that I think I list is this company called Balloons to Go. And we're just these little kids. So we're selling balloons. In a summer, we made a few $100. We started calling ourselves an impact agency.
Yep.
It's not just high impact graphics and visuals, but also high impact messaging and ultimately high impact results. We're really trying to figure out what can we do to impact the goals or objectives of our client. Probably our craziest request, and that was we wanted to be able to rent a pet monkey for a day.
I think I remember it. I've got 3 kids. Maybe we can do some off with one of them. Welcome to our podcast. Today's guest is Peter Klauser from Bullseye Creative. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you. And so I'm just going to jump right into it. We've known each other since 2003, so over 20 years. Bullseye, when I met you, you were Bullseye Graphics. Today you're Bullseye Creative. So I remember you and James, you had your little studio. It was actually pretty big, but really cool studio in Belltown at the Work Lofts.
Yep.
And so when did you start that, and how did you get into this business?
So we started our company 27 years ago this July, which is kind of crazy to say. I was 22 years old, so do the math, 49 now. And
Big birthday coming up.
Big birthday coming up. That's right. Pretty soon here. And so the month that I graduated college, James was living over in Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah.
I finished school up at in Bellingham at Western Washington University.
Okay.
We both moved back to town. Kind of looked around trying to find a place where we could run our business, and ultimately we found an apartment and convinced this landlord to rent to us, even though we didn't have income or real jobs yet. And we just started our business right out of this little apartment in Shoreline.
Okay.
And just finding a way to make it work.
And so is James older or are you older?
James is older. He's 4 years older. We have 2 sisters as well, and they're also each of us 4 years apart. So James
is he the oldest?
He's the oldest,
and you're a middle.
I am the oldest of the middle.
Okay. Yep. Okay. We have a middle kid as well.
Yeah.
We actually celebrate Middle Child Day.
Oh, you do?
There's a whole thing. We spent a lot of time. We could have a whole podcast about that.
But right, are we going to start opening up here about the middle child syndromes?
And so James and what did you study in school?
So I studied marketing, entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And James studied advertising and graphic design.
Okay.
And so he was working in Moscow. He went to Washington State University.
Okay.
And then moved across the border and was working, in a graphics shop. In Moscow. And while I was in school, I just knew, the two of us were always creative and always entrepreneurial. We ran a lot of little businesses as we were growing up.
Yeah.
In fact, if you looked at my LinkedIn profile, it's got this business that I've been running for 27 years.
Yeah.
It has this, lighting sales job that I had during college. And then the only other job that I think I list is this company called Balloons to Go that James and I ran when I was 7 or 8 years old.
You guys,
he was
selling balloons.
Yeah. We had rented a helium tank.
Yeah.
And then, borrowed some money from our parents to buy some latex and Mylar balloons.
Yeah.
And then we rented space at what used to be called Aurora Village, this little shopping center where there's now a Costco and a Home Depot and Shoreline.
Yeah.
And we had basically a kiosk selling balloons. We printed up these shirts that had the company name Balloons to Go. Really creative. And then, of course, our price list on the back, $1 for a latex, $2 for Mylar. And we're just these little kids, so we're selling balloons. And, in a summer, we made a few $100.
Hey, it's 7 or 8 years old. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's kind of one step up from the lemonade stand, I would think.
Which we did that as well. Yep, absolutely. Very entrepreneurial. So, and then also very artistic. We grew up, we like to say we grew up without a television. And so we had to kind of fill our time.
So no TV.
No TV. Just found other ways to fill our time.
That's pretty, kind of with having 3 kids and the amount of screen time. It's like, when you take that forces the brain to, kind of to its fullest capacity. You don't use our full capacity of our brain, I think, to, because it gets taken over by these other things.
Definitely more room to use, but we found, a little bit more, I guess, but we, so we filled our time, reading comic books, drawing pictures, And then, of course, creating and playing games with each other. So that kind of formed our bond as brothers and of course, with our sisters as well.
Yeah.
And then reading comic books. I mean, we were just like, starting not only to read the comic books, then we start drawing some of the stuff that we were reading. And then we start kind of creating our own adventures with those same characters. And then after a while, we started creating our own characters. And then I found, you know what, I could actually sell some of this artwork. And so when I was probably in the second or third grade, I had taped to the inside of my little hinged desk, that opens up.
Yeah.
I had a price list on the underside of the desk there. I would draw Darth Vader for $5. You could pay me to draw the entire lineup of Duran Duran for $15.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Right. So I had my price list laid out, and my classmates would hire me to draw. And James, of course, highly creative, incredible illustrator and artist. And so when he went to school, he studied that, learned, the advertising side of that, how that translates to sales, communicating a message. And then when I went to school, I was studying marketing and entrepreneurship, just knowing we wanted to run our own business. And I called him my freshman year and said, hey, starting my college journey, and I just want to start my own business, and I want to do it with you. What do you think? He's like, yeah, let's do it.
So I still remember to this day, I think it was Kirsten. She was BizX account manager. And she's like, I just met these two really cool guys, these brothers. You got to come with me and check this out. So I remember going down, and I remember seeing your studio 20 years ago, and just back then seeing how creative you were. And I remember seeing comic book type of inspirations and just kind of like how you marketed yourself. I remember your own message was just, you would always like push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I think that really showed. And if you're being a creative agency, that makes sense. What's funny is I remember like somebody told me about a creative agency. I pulled it up and I looked at their website, and it really sucked. And I'm like, okay, we're not hiring these people because their website, like, put your best foot forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the space in which we've always operated, it represents a little bit about our personalities and our approach.
Yes.
And so does our work.
Yeah.
And, so in the comic book, influences and inspirations throughout our space speak to our history, of kind of forming that creative talent in those early days. But it also speaks to our approach towards our work and our clients, which is about high impact.
Yeah.
And so that's what you see in our space as well. Yeah. Is it's not just high impact graphics and visuals, but also high impact messaging and ultimately high impact results. We're really trying to figure out what can we do to impact the goals or objectives of our client. Yeah. Whether it's selling a product or a service, or whether it's, communicating a message or getting butts in seats for an event or raising funds for a nonprofit organization. There's a goal, and what can we do to impact that goal? Yeah. And in more recent years, we've started to really realize that our responsibility here as citizens of the Pacific Northwest is also to make an impact in our community as well. So we've started calling ourselves an impact agency. That's really what we do is, these high impact deliverables ultimately drive impact for our business objectives of our clients and make a difference or an impact here in our community.
That's what you want. You don't want to just advertise or marketing. It's you need to be moving the needle. If you're not moving the needle, you shouldn't be doing that activity.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so that makes, I like that word. I might steal it from you.
You're welcome to. We didn't invent it.
So you've started this business now, and I remember running into you then, and so you've got big clients, little clients. You've grown. How many employees are you guys today?
6. So we're still super small. We keep it that way.
And you subcontract things out as you need them as you go. But you've got a roster of some pretty impressive customers and clients over the years.
It's true. Yeah, we've been lucky, to align ourselves with a lot of those people. But we also have taken good care of them and built relationships over the years. Yeah. And so, you could look at our client list today, and a vast majority of them, I could trace all the way back to those first months of running Bullseye.
And then you get referral business and word
of mouth, return businesses, or we're working with a client whose marketing director leaves that company and goes somewhere else, brings us with them, and now we're working with that client. So it just grows.
So what's the coolest campaign or thing that you've done?
Yeah, there's a ton. A really diverse history of different types of work. Some of the things that we're really proud of is some of the work that we did, like for Fred Hutch cancer research.
Okay.
They brought us in, and one of their biggest fundraising events is their holiday gala.
Yeah.
And so they bring in millions of dollars in one night. And they came to us originally and they said, we have this footage. We don't know how to use it. And so we're going to be using that at our holiday gala where we have, live music and a big dinner. And the room is filled with the right donors, in order to raise that kind of money in one night. They got the right people in the room. But we also have a pretty good idea of how much money we can anticipate each person donating to us.
Yeah.
So right before we ask them to raise their paddle and give to this cause, we show a video.
Yeah.
And our hope is that the amount that we expect versus the amount we actually get can be different.
You get a bump from the video. You get an impact from the video.
And the video impact that final number.
Yeah.
Right? So they came to us with footage. We shot some footage, but we don't know how to use this stuff.
Yeah.
And so we looked at the footage. We're like, all right, it's all over the place. But we found a through line, a thread, a story that we could tell. But we also said, listen, here's the thing. When you're doing these fundraising videos, a couple of key things that you're missing in this footage. You have to, first of all, ask for the support. You have to say, we need your help. People in this room tonight. We can't do this without your support.
Yeah.
So we need that piece. Secondly, there's a couple of things that are really important with a video like that. Music is so important, right? In order to, hit the right notes at the right time, but also what instruments you use, right? And there's a science behind that as well. Like which certain instruments, like string instruments, for example, mimic the human vocal chords, which makes it almost feel like you'll hear violins or violas or cellos, which sound like almost like the wailing or crying, which makes you feel emotional.
Yeah.
Right. So we said, the thing about music is it can be incredibly emotional, but even more than that is live music. When you go see your son performing live in front of course, you're proud as your son, but also just to know how many hours he's put in.
Yeah.
It's moving.
Yeah.
Right. You see somebody who's taking their craft and their love of something and pouring it through an instrument and performing. There's something moving about that.
Yeah.
So he said, well, what we propose is that we show this video, no music at all. And instead we accompany the video with live musicians on the stage.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And at first the audience doesn't even realize it's happening.
Yeah.
Right. But then we started amplifying this idea and got further with it. And we realized, okay, some of those missing components, like asking for the sale and so on, we can have the president of Fred Hutch, Dr. Gary Gilliland, stand up and talk to the audience.
Yeah.
And then as the lights come down, the video starts, the music begins on the stage, and then it gets louder and louder. Yeah. And then Dr. Gary Gilliland comes back on the stage at another point, another spotlight on him, and he's asking for the support.
Yeah.
And people who have drinks in their hands or food at their plates, they can't ignore it. It's not a video on a screen. It's a live person who's important standing in front of them saying, I need your support. Yeah. That night, they were expecting $4 million.
Yeah.
They brought in over $8 million.
Wow.
After that video played. So, of course, we were all elated and happy. And then the next year, we did it again, but we took it another step further. We went further. We added more elements to it, even more live elements and so on. And they were hoping for $8 million that night. We're like, come on, guys. Hey, give us some expectations that are realistic. $8 million. They ended up raising $14 million.
Doubling it up almost every time.
Almost.
So
I'm really proud of that work for sure.
This is incredible. I could sit here all day and just talk creative because I geek out of it and you do it so well. But tell me about you were as an owner of a business and as an entrepreneur, you're running an impact agency. So you've got the creative side of the business. But then when you're not doing that, you're a business owner. And we all share the same challenges and all those things. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced and overcame as a business owner?
Great question, Bob. There's a lot of things that I still struggle with, to this day. Like delegation is something that I think I'm just terrible at, and I need to get better at.
Problem with that.
I gotta let go. But I have a great team. The team is just awesome. Right now, super happy with everybody that's on the team. And they're super capable. So I found it's gotten easier and better. I get more confident because of the team's capabilities. But I still struggle with that. And the other thing I think that, you can get bogged down with meetings and emails. You sometimes get into this rut where email is running your entire day, right? So I've found ways to combat that. first thing, I'll just shut my email down for several hours and then attack, my big boulders, as Stephen Covey would refer to.
Yeah.
And also I started this, I'm not perfect about this yet, but I started this new process that I call no meetings Mondays. So I just don't schedule any meetings on Mondays.
Yeah.
And then allow my Mondays to really be dedicated to catching up on my accounting, catching up on some of my sales efforts.
Yeah.
Mapping out our production schedule for the team for the week, and so on.
I'm part of a bunch of groups like YPO or EO over the years, and there's a guy, he's got a company called the Strategic Coach, and he talks about divvying up your week into 3 different types of days. So you have focus days where you focus on the big boulders. You have buffer days where you just kind of tackle all the other stuff, and then you have free days where you just eliminate all that, and it rejuvenates your creative.
That's great.
And it sounds like you're already doing that
accidentally.
You figured it out.
You figured it out.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how we did our entire business. Neither one of us, none of us actually have really worked for another big agency.
Yeah.
We don't know how it's supposed to be done.
Which is good and bad. Yeah. Because there's a lot of things that it allows you to create and be creative and try new things.
We just said we want to create a place where we would want to work. Yeah. And we want to do the kind of work that we would love to do and treat clients the way we would like to be treated.
Absolutely. So we've been working together since 2003.
That's right.
Any idea, care to guess how much business we've done together?
I'm going to say it's over 2 million. Do you have an actual number?
Yeah, I just looked it up before I came. So it's $4 million, $2 million in sales, and about $2 million in purchases.
That's amazing.
That we've done together. So
I was thinking just on the sales side. So about 2 million in sales, and then of course you
use it. So what are the biggest from that perspective? You've got some new customers from BizX.
Yeah.
How or what do you see? How has been the biggest impact for you about the relationship?
BizX has been a great part of our business for sure. Obviously, we've been members since 2003. We've really found a great way to incorporate it into our process, into our flow. We've learned to think BizX first before we spend cash.
And why is that for our listeners, that your viewers that don't maybe understand that?
Yeah, for us, it allows us to purchase. It gives us purchasing power. Allows us to purchase at a reduced rate, basically.
Yeah.
And we sell service, so it's a little bit different. But the model that I'll usually explain to people who don't understand what BizX is I'll talk about the mattress company. And I think you might have even used this for us when you first approached us. So mattresses. I say, listen, let's say there's a mattress company that's selling mattresses for $1,000, and it costs this guy $300 to buy the mattress from the manufacturer. Right. So when he sells a mattress for $1,000, he's making $700 margin profit.
Yeah.
Right. So, but every $1,000 mattress cost him $300 to sell to earn that $700. Now, if he sells that same mattress for $1,000 BizX dollars, what did it cost him in cash? $300, right? In order to get 1,000 BizX dollars. Now he goes and spends that 1,000 BizX dollars anywhere through the network, $500 on some advertising, $200 on some printing, a few $100 on some gifts for clients, and so on. So he spends $1,000 on his regular business operations. It's not funny money. It was real. How much did that $1,000 really cost him in cash? $300.
Yeah.
So he's buying at his cost of goods sold, right? He's spending $1,000 of BizX, but it's only costing him $300. So what we did is we did a formula for ourselves, because we're not selling mattresses, we're selling service, but we needed to figure out, what percentage do we apply to this?
Yeah, what's your cost? Yep.
Yeah. And so for us, it's about 65 cents on the dollar. So when we're purchasing on BizX, we're really purchasing on 65 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
On average. Yeah, that can go up, it can go down depending on a lot of
on averaging what you're doing.
Right. But it gave us a real number then to
benchmark.
To benchmark and to make our purchasing decisions based on. So right, when we're thinking BizX before we think cash, we're knowing that we're purchasing at a fraction of the dollar.
Yeah. And so what are some of the coolest things or favorite things that you've bought over the years using BizX?
Oh man, amazing. So we've done a lot of different things. I have some notes.
He's well prepared.
I came prepared. We've held some amazing parties through BizX, right? using, Grand Event Rentals, of course, to rent a number of things, caterers that we've used and so on. We've had a couple of huge Super Bowl parties when the Seahawks were in the Super Bowl the last couple of times. So we rented a warehouse. We brought in a big rental screen and a projector, these stanchions with couches and comfy recliner chairs, of course, fully catered. We had other AV for stats and replays backed by the catering thing. We had photo booths. We had, big Seahawk colored balloon arches and decorations. We even had a bouncy house for the kids, all on BizX.
That's awesome.
Right. Of course, we've had some corporate anniversary parties, the majority of that on BizX and so on. And, James and I have, like a lot of BizX members, been able to spend on some restaurants and things like that for sure. We've also done some other fun things too, like some travel, up to the San Juans or California, a couple of things like that. And then also framing, we did a lot of framing for artwork around our office or autographed.
Well, you moved.
Sports.
One of the big things was that you were downtown, and I remember you moved to your new office in Shoreline.
Yeah.
So you bought a building.
We bought a building.
And you guys did, what was, there was a big remodel project, and I think you really worked it, but what percentage of that, or how many dollars do you think you were able to offset with that using
a lot? We were able to put a couple $100,000 of BizX into that building.
Wow. So that's equity.
It's equity, exactly. That we still own. So we put in a new roof, all new flooring. We put in all the AV systems with the Sonos music and the presentation screens, security system. We did painting and plumbing and electrical. All of that through BizX. In our own building, for sure. We've had some fun with it as well. I mean, James bought a hot tub on BizX.
I remember that.
And I think, I'll share this. One of my favorite purchases of all time is also a good story about you and the relationship that you have with us and with your members. We had a drum set in our old office, and our neighbors were starting to complain. I don't know why. But we were like, all right, we'll get rid of the drum set. But we're like, man, we really liked having a drum set in our office. So we thought, can we get an electric drum set? Think BizX first. I called you. I said, can you find an electric drum set for us? And you were like, I'm on it.
This was 2003. I remember that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, early then. Yeah. So this is a good introduction for us. So we were like, just challenge Bob to try to find the drum set for us. And there wasn't any members in the musical equipment space. But you found a drum set for us through the affiliate.
One of our affiliates, and it was a Roland drum set.
It was.
It was the exact model number you wanted.
It was. We still have
So it's like, okay, don't get used to this because we're not Amazon. We like to say, so we say 3 out of 10 is ask BizX for 10 things. We'll be able to help you with 3.
Oh, so we've had a better track record.
We like to under-promise and over-deliver. But that's
true.
That's set the expectations.
The only thing that you weren't ever able to get for us was probably our craziest request, and that was we wanted to be able to rent a pet monkey for a day.
I think I remember this.
We had a photographer for a marketing
I've got
publication.
3 kids. Maybe we can dress them up with one of them.
We had a marketing publication that was doing an article on us, and they were going to send a photographer out to shoot our team in our office. And we'd seen the photos.
There you are, pushing the creative boundaries.
We're like, we didn't want to take ourselves too seriously. Like everybody looking all stodgy. We were like, wouldn't it be funny if we're all just kind of standing there posing it out, and just inexplicably we have a monkey sitting in our lead
We could
chair.
have rented the gorilla suit on BizX, and you could have just hired somebody to put it in there. So
you tried, but you came back and you're like, I wasn't able to get the monkey for a day.
Oh man, that's funny. So what's, you guys survived COVID.
We did.
And you're thriving. What's the future look like for you guys? What's 2023 and beyond? What's coming?
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting time, right?
I remember we were talking
a lot.
PPP loans.
Yeah.
I remember talking to bankers trying to get a hold of people. It was like, I remember this very distinctly. Before the PPP money came, I think it was like in May. I think everybody was like freaking out.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as that money started hitting people's accounts, people started to, because we were now like 2 months with no income coming.
Right.
People are, and we were banking with the same people, and we were making phone calls and, American Express has a PPP loan. This bank has a PPP loan. This guy's not calling me back. I remember a bunch of those calls back then.
Yeah, and a lot of our clients are in the event space. So we do marketing, advertising for a lot of the the cons, the Comic Cons,
Boat show,
Seattle Boat Show, Boats Afloat Show. A lot of these big events, those were canceled.
Yeah,
and so even times even contracts where we had a contract and we're anticipating those revenues at a certain quarter, they just weren't going to come.
Yeah,
so we were like, well, now what?
Yeah,
and so we had to pivot pretty quickly. I remember those early days. Actually, you and I had a lot of Zoom conversations and happy hours and just talking. And we were talking to an economic development director from the state, Michael, I think, trying to even see if we could form like a certain version of Biz X for small communities. And we're just doing anything we could to try to survive, but also to help these other businesses that were maybe suffering even more than we were.
Yeah.
And so in those first couple of weeks, man, that's what we did. We called our restaurant clients and we were like, what can we do? What can we do to help you? We helped generate QR codes for their menus and put those out. We helped integrate, delivery services and like DoorDash and such into their websites.
Wow.
No charge, just to help them.
Yeah.
We got a call from Doug Baldwin, a former Seahawks player who we were doing some work for in another capacity. And he called us and he's like, hey, Peter, James, I need your guys' help. Like, I want to get food to these senior citizens who are stuck at home right now. They can't leave their house.
Wow.
And I need to build a quick website where I can recruit drivers to be able to do this, and then also solicit donations for this as well. So in like 2 days, we spun around a website for him that had a donation form, had a volunteer form, and he was able to raise nearly $100,000 very quickly, and then got sponsorship and support from Safeway as well. And he was able to deliver food to these couples and residents and individuals all throughout the South Seattle area.
Well, I remember when we started this Facebook group called Business Saving Business, along with Aaron Blank from the Fury Group.
Yeah.
And I needed a logo. And I called you. I don't know if you remember this. In 24 hours, you guys created a logo for this Facebook group.
And we didn't charge for that, did we?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. No, we were doing a lot of that just to try to help.
Yeah.
In a way we could. We knew that it would just come back in spades in some way. And then some of our clients allowed us to start getting creative. We found a couple of events that were like, you know what? We want to still do the event. And so we started creating these virtual online events, which we ended up doing for a couple of years. We almost created a product where we would sell tickets to this virtual space, and attendees from all over the world would buy a ticket, log in, and have access to be able to interact with exhibitors and vendors through these virtual booths, watch streaming videos of seminars in real time, be able to use the chat tools to ask questions.
Very cool.
And so we did that for a couple of years. And then, of course, people were hungry to get back into in-person events. And so we were able to turn our focus from survival back to growth again.
And so what does 2023 and beyond look like? Is this year shaping up to be what you expected?
Yeah, this has been a great year so far. Last year was great as well, and it's even better this year. So, our model, stays the same. And so we are staying tight and lean as we always have. But our model which, as you mentioned, incorporates a large pool of different contract partners, whether it's photographers or videographers, PR agencies, even some of the services that we do ourselves in-house, like web development, for example, we also will get overloaded occasionally. Have to contract some of that out as well. So we have a huge party. We like to say, we're a small, lean team of 6, but we're a virtual agency of thousands. And so that model continues to expand and grow, allowing us to still keep our A team here at Bullseye in-house.
So before we wrap up, one question I like to ask the guests: what's one piece of advice you would give to a younger, James and Peter starting this business?
That's a great question. You're going to edit out this long pause, right? What is the good piece of advice? Yeah, that's a great question, Bob. I think the main piece of advice that, I would give myself is to, just remember to have fun all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey. Yeah. In 27 years of running a business, there's certainly times where you find yourself slipping into, it just feels like a job sometimes. And so I've had to remind myself and course correct over the years. But right now, I'm enjoying the heck out of this journey.
I can tell. It's hence the no meeting Mondays, etc. You're being much more intentional about your time and what you're doing. It
Yeah,
like
for sure. And it translates to happiness, for sure.
This
So
massive grin on your face every time I see you. And so you guys are great.
we're in a fun business.
Yeah.
I mean, the work that we do is fun, and we get to see it have real impact on our customers and their goals. And so have fun with it the entire time.
Well, I think what happens, and I'll just share, when I first got into business, I was 22 years old, and I called myself 22 and stupid, and you don't know any better, and you're like having a lot of fun. And then you go throughout it, and you get these caked on layers, and then responsibilities, and then suddenly you're an old man and thinking about things that way, where it's like, how do you keep that? How do you keep the wisdom that you've learned, but keep that youthfulness, that curiosity, keep both of those things?
Yeah, good word. Yeah, curiosity and energy.
Energy, yeah,
sure. As we get older, it takes a little bit of intentionality. It takes a little bit of work for sure. But no, we still got it. And,
you do. Absolutely. You have it.
Yeah, for sure. And so, that's just kind of the thing I remind myself is just like, stay focused on that. And we're in a good spot right now. And so
that's great.
Looking forward to the next 27 years.
My regards to James.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming. Thanks for being such a great BizX member. And I could sit here literally all day, but we'll definitely catch up again soon.
My pleasure. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.